So as you can tell from the title of this video, I am making the Bowie knife from Halo Reach. I love the Halo games, I love the Halo series. I wasn't really a multiplayer type of guy. I liked the story of Halo so much. You know, you get to follow around the Master Chief as an enhanced Spartan, going to epic alien location and trying to figure out what the Halo array was about. And one of the games in that series is called Halo Reach, which is where I first saw this Bowie knife. And I really like the design of this knife. I've made a couple of things more subtle because with the CGI of the time that this game was made, things were still a little bit blocky and pixely, if that's a word. This is definitely a Bowie type of knife, and I've made the rise in the blade portion a little more subtle and a little less extreme. If you look at a picture of the knife from the game, the tip of the blade comes up and almost goes completely perpendicular to where it rises from, which I think if you're gonna make a combat knife, that's gonna be a little bit too much of an extreme angle, so I've made that more subtle. I'm gonna try to make the handle and the guard as close as possible to the video game. Probably not going to look exactly like it, but I hope it's going to be close. And I hope it's going to look cool, and all the progress from here on out tells me that it is. Now, one thing that you saw me just do was use the vertical mill to cut out those fullers along the spine of the knife. Now, you've seen me use that attachment for cutters for the vertical mill in other videos. For this one, I got a 3/8 diameter radius cutter off the internet. It was from eBay. It was like $8, so it wasn't very sharp, and it ended up pretty much dulling quite a bit, but I only needed it for one use and it was $8, so who cares? But I made a mistake during this process. So my struggles with making fullers on knives continues, and it almost ruined the project, but I think it's fine now, but I'm going to go ahead and explain that to you right now. To do that, I need to take you over to the vertical mill. So what I was trying to do while making these fullers is to make every single start and stop point indexable, to where it was repeatable on both sides. And how I accomplished this was the vertical mill has stops on it to where the table will move, but once it hits that stop, it can't go anywhere. So that's how you determine your start and stop points. You can go back and forth in between the two and get a consistent length of cut on both sides. The horizontal stops are actually located here and here. Now the vertical stop on this mill drill is actually right here, okay? So you've got this little knob that turns that will determine how far your cutter will go down. If it's too deep, I can move this arrow down a little bit and it'll make it much more shallow. And then if I need to go deeper, I can adjust this arrow up and then it'll go deeper. The mistake I made was this entire head can go up and down. The head actually moves on this mill drill and not the table in terms of vertical movement. So on some other mills, I believe the table can move up and down, whereas the head stays in the same spot. But this one, the head moves instead of the table. So what I did was I had this set too low, and what this does is this head can climb up and down by loosening two nuts on this side of the mill, located here and here, and then adjusting this crank to either have it go up and down. But what happens is when you loosen these nuts, this head not only moves up and down, but it pivots left and right. I'll go ahead and show you this real quick. I'll loosen these set screws. You can go up and down with this crank, but it also moves left and right. If you've already set these two stops down here, what it's done is it's thrown off your start and stop for your cut, and your stopping points for the table are going to be different now. So my mistake was I had the head set up initially way too low. So that meant when I was done with the cut and I moved to go put this all the way up at the top, it was too low, and therefore if I cranked it, tried to go to the other side, the bottom of the cutter would hit the piece of metal and I couldn't get it over to the other side. So I had to loosen the head and crank it up a little bit higher so that this cutter would clear. But in doing so, it throws off the left and right, and also it throws off your vertical stop for where you want the cutter to go down and hit that wall. So I had to try to take the cut that I had just made and basically index it and try to, get everything as close as possible that I could to this side in order to do the other side. Now in reality, I think I did a pretty decent job at that, but it's still not perfect. And if I had been able to just bring this cutter up, move it over to the other side of the piece of metal, and then bring it down to my vertical stop, I think everything would have been just perfect, exactly lined up. Unfortunately, it is just ever so slightly off. And it's not like a huge difference, but it is ever so slightly off. Now fortunately, I'm still learning about all this stuff, so this knife isn't going to be sold, but I don't think anyone would notice unless you told them or they examined the knife real closely. But I'm going to continue on with the project, and this is just going to be a lesson that I have to learn for next time that I do a fuller with the vertical mill. And I am going to be doing one in the near future. So stuff is expensive for me right now, and I'm pretty much broke, so I'm just going to keep on going, learn what I can, and quite frankly, this is still going to be a dope ass knife. So that's going to go ahead and conclude part 1 of this project, and I'm going to try to release videos every Friday now. So hopefully I will see you next Friday with a brand new video. Thank you so much for watching.